there, good night and welcome back to another video. So last video we talked about tracing, which I am tracing again in this video, mainly because this drawing was a bit complicated to say the least. And I hope you guys are having a great day or night or whenever you're seeing this video. Now today's topic would be phobia. Now this is going to be a 5-part series talking about different fears and their definition, with me also giving my opinion on it. And most of these things are what I got from Google. But the reason why I'm bringing up these specific fears, they're some of my fears. And some of the stuff that, well, most of them, they don't really bother me that much. So we're going to start with the least troublesome one. But before we start, we're going to find the definition of phobia. Phobia is an extreme or irrational fear of adverse or something. So someone can be suffering from a phobia of birds or phobia of tight space, which we're going to be talking about today. Today is being claustrophobic. So the definition and textbook definition would be having an extreme or irrational fear of confined places, or a person with an extreme or irrational fear of confined spaces. Now my fears aren't really that big. It's just a certain time it just irritates me, and then when I sit and think about being trapped in a box like our character is right now, it kind of weirds me out a bit because you can't really move. And like, what if you're in an uncomfortable position? How are you going to get out of that position? Imagine being stuck with your arms behind your back and your knees cramped up and you can't move. That would be really scary. Or just being forced to stand there all the time. You can't sit, you can't stoop, you can't do anything but just stand up. That would also be scary. So what happens when you get claustrophobic? A person who has claustrophobia knows that the fear is irrational, but even thinking about the fear can create anxiety. When they are faced with the fear situation, they feel like they are having a panic attack, a heart attack, or as if they could even stop breathing and pass out. Well, that is scary, to be trapped in this tight space, nowhere to move, nowhere to go, you can't fix yourself however it is, and it can become quite a sweaty mess, especially if the place is hot, and it would just be really awful and can cause people to panic. Now, to know if you have claustrophobia, if you get very nervous or upset when you're in a tight place, like an elevator or crowded room, you might have claustrophobia. It is an anxiety disorder that causes an intense fear of enclosed spaces. Some people get claustrophobia symptoms when they're in all types of closed-up areas. So basically, someone is in a tight room and they can't really move about freely. I'm pretty sure they're going to start freaking out. It can feel as though your lungs are closing up, they refuse to work, you start to sweat, your head starts pounding, and it's as though you just need to get out of this spot. So I'm thinking that is how the feeling would be. I'm not for sure. I don't really like being in closed areas, and I don't put myself in such spots. So examples of claustrophobia. The primary symptoms of claustrophobia are fears and panic associated with a small enclosed space in conjunction with a desire to avoid such spaces. For example, a person with claustrophobia might not be afraid of sitting in his or own closet, but traveling in an elevator could be terrifying. Now, elevators are a bit big, so I really don't think for me traveling in an elevator would be so terrifying. But then if it's full with a bunch of other people, then it's going to be a bit terrifying. But then also if I'm alone in that elevator, it's also going to be scary. There was a horror movie I watched where I can't remember the name of the horror movie, but it was something to do with an elevator, and the person was watching the security videos, and he was going frame by frame, and then for in one of the frame you saw a bunch of faces reflecting in the elevator, and it was scary. It was really, really scary. So I think that would be my fear of that. But for being claustrophobic, let's see. There was one time in school I wanted to go do something, but we had to sneak out the class, and I decided it was going to be fun to hide in under one of the tables, and after a while I just started freaking out a bit, and I couldn't really control my breathing. It was a bit hard to say because it was in such a tight spot, and my legs started getting cramped up, but I couldn't stretch them out. And it wasn't that scary, but it's more uncomfortable. I can't really give you any idea of me actually being claustrophobic. Like I said, I usually avoid such situation, but thinking about being trapped in a box, especially imagine if you're buried alive, like someone just puts you down in the ground while you're still screaming and kicking, or you know what, you're in a coma, and then when you actually wake up back, you're underground, you raise your hand out in front of you, you can't even raise your hand fully out, you can only go like a few inches in front of you, and you can kick your feet out, but you're just in this tight spot and it's hot there. You can't do much. You try punching, you try kicking, you try swirling around, but nothing can be done. And then shortage of air supply, all of a sudden you can't even breathe. You can scream all you want, but that's not going to do you any good. I'm pretty sure no one will hear you, and you might even try clawing your way out, but then your nails are gonna break off, and it's going to be very painful. So it is not really something I want to do. How about a MRI? Like if you have to go do an MRI, and I think I would get really scared doing so. And the only reason I brought it up was how to deal with claustrophobia in MRI. So what it states here, some techniques that can reduce the anxiety that comes with the feeling of claustrophobia includes focusing your breathing and covering your eyes with a towel during the exam. CDI also offers headphones for listening to music and for open MRI patients. Watching TV is an option. I think some of these things would be helpful. Closing my eyes, however, will not be helpful. For some reason, even if I close my eyes, that would just make things scary, because all of a sudden I'd feel as though the rooms, it's just closing in around me, the walls are closing in. Listening to music does help a bit. It helps to distract my mind and keep me away of thinking about certain things, but closing my eyes will not help. Some of the mild things that I have, which I don't really think involves being claustrophobic, but if someone hugs me, like if I'm sleeping and someone hugs me, all of a sudden I will start freaking out. Or if someone decides to lie on top of me, like they just throw their weight on top of me, I don't like it for too long. Like if I can't move comfortable, then I don't like it, and I would start freaking out. And I think the very big ball of rain cloud does not understand that. Cause he likes to do that, but I don't like it. I feel as though I can't breathe, I can't move my arms, and it's a messy situation. Now we are definitely not reaching the end of this video. This was a longer video than what I anticipated it to be. Oh, I also have an issue with speech where I would stumble, stutter, mix up my words. I am still trying to get over that, and there is not much that I can really do than just try speaking, maybe looking in the mirror and try talking to myself. I don't have a fear of mirrors. I did watch a horror movie, Mirror, when I was little. That kind of scared me away from it, but no, to be honest, I don't have a fear of mirrors. However, I think I'm going to be having a fear of plane, because imagine being trapped in that tiny little seat without being able to move your legs. I mean, you could get up and walk around, but still that tiny little seat in your tiny little spot and you can't really do much is kind of weird. And another reason for bringing that up is how to deal with claustrophobia. Why am I saying how to deal with claustrophobia? I've completely gone away from it. It's how do you stop claustrophobia on a plane? But flying with claustrophobia needs not to be a disaster. Careful planning your trip can help you keep your phobia under control. The day of your flight, take steps to ensure your comfort. Allow yourself plenty of time at the airport. Be hydrated. Check in at your gate at least 30 minutes before the flight. There's some other stuff, but I'm not going to be clicking in to read that. I think some of the things that you can do is to just have your AirPods or headphones and just listen to music. Try reading a book. Just try keeping your mind off of what's going on, and try to be positive about the situation, though there isn't really much you can do. Now we are coming to the end of this video. Bye. Take care. Leave a like.